Good evening, this is Pineleaf Needles, and welcome to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO, and here at LOTRO Players. And today we have with us Draculetta from Transylvania,
Hey, everybody.
Atheros from the Hundred Acre Wood,
I actually didn't know how to respond to that.
Don't talk to him about
I
woods.
wasn't expecting that, actually.
That was
You would
amazing,
be.
Pine Leaf.
Well played, Pine
That
Leaf.
was
Well
great.
played, sir.
Yeah, hi and stuff.
Lily Kate from South London,
Yeah, I'm not in South London. From me,
yes, really South London.
South London. Yeah, from
South
me and a
London,
sleeping
sorry.
busy. Hello,
South London.
South. Two F's on the end.
Okay, I will have to remember that in the future.
Got to
And
practice, Padley.
yes, South London. Yes, and Andang from the
Where's he
Moors.
from?
Apparently the Moors.
Yes,
All right. Hello, everybody.
yes, and tonight our top story is that the Breaking of Isengard will be released on April 14th.
Okay.
Go ahead, Drac.
Woohoo.
Who, huh? Me? Why?
You wrote the article.
That's the rule, apparently.
That's good to say. Is that like a new role that I wasn't aware of?
Yep.
It is.
Yeah, basically, Turbine had a press event, and MMORPG was there, and they broke the news. They were, matter of fact, this was the first source I seen the story on, so I'm going to say they actually were the first one to break this news, that the new update will be live on April 14th.
Yay!
And basically that's all they said, because that's really all that was announced. So
I'm really glad they finally let us know when it actually is coming out now that they've moved it back.
Yes. Now, that means, of course, that you want to make sure that you have your taxes done before then.
Nonsense.
You don't want to spend April 15th trying to choose between going into Isengard and doing your taxes.
It's an easy choice. The IRS will catch you eventually.
All right. Now,
By the way,
of course,
over in chat, Zingo's holding up a Draculetta fan club sign.
That's awesome.
Dracula
That is
fan
awesome.
club Sign. Yes. All right.
We
And
need to take pictures of all of us, like a real us, with a Draculetta fan club sign like held up and put it together into one image. That'd be just awesome.
yes, and Massively had posted an article about the epic story, and Andang reported on this. So, is there anything you could say that's not going to be a spoiler?
That's not going to be a spoiler. Well, that's actually a spoiler too. There will be
It's a thing.
there will be 2 int play sessions. They said. I wish that there were more than 2. They did mention that it will be the character that you probably expect if you read the books. So that's good, or seen the films. I'm wondering if we're going to have Merry and Pippin session play, though. They didn't talk about that. They just confirmed the int session plays. I'm hoping that we will, because that would be pretty awesome, I think. Let's see. Also, the fact that we'll be helping Quick Beam in the new PvE area was talked about quite a bit. And how there's these new quest types that are called incrementals, and basically they're like Heightbold, but you actually don't have to do them near as long. But they are daily quests, and the difference between Heightbold mainly is the fact that the quests actually really change up. It's not just changing which part of the pool it pulls from, so that's a good thing.
Now, this is not the first time that we've done quests for Quick Beam, since we did some for him in Dunland also.
That's right.
So another chance to meet Quick Beam and see if he remembers you. MMO Reporter had a preview video for Update 13. And Ethros, what was this about?
Well, obviously going to have to try and avoid spoilers here. So
Let's actually go
basically
ahead
what
and give a spoiler alert once you're ready. So go ahead and talk about everything
Does
you
that
can
mean I have
without
to turn off the session then?
La la la, fingers in ears.
I don't want to hear it.
If you make it feel better, I'll just bleep every single word.
Uh,
Yeah, basically this is, from what I understand, the same preview that other news that have been given and that we should be getting soon via a live stream, I think. Basically, they show us through they show a little bit of the Flooded Isengard and the Entwood, and also they give you a sneak peek of the Ent session play, and you basically see the Treebeard meeting the hobbits and going back to the place where they end up drinking Ent draft, and apparently the hobbits do actually grow a little bit after drinking it, which is a nice touch.
yeah, lore appropriate, which is awesome.
Right.
And they also talk a little bit about the other various features coming with Update 13.
Yeah, one
Nothing,
thing
yeah.
that I thought was pretty cool, and I'm gonna try to avoid spoilers. It's the way that they handled time during the Entmoot, which I think is pretty awesome. So I'm really excited for that, and obviously that's gonna be probably a major point because that's their council, which is gonna be pretty amazing. I hope. And
Oh yeah, I remember that now. That
yeah.
was a very nice way of doing it.
Yeah, it was. So I'm
Uh,
excited for that, and just check out the video, and hopefully you'll be able to, if you want to. If you don't want spoilers, then I wouldn't recommend it. But there are definitely some good details in here that haven't come up anywhere else yet.
There are two major things which I feel I'll just mention now. One is that Rowan is intending to release another producer's letter in mid-April, around the launch of Update 13, as it happens. And he's going to obviously talk about various stuff, most likely part of Update 13. And he is also going to, actually pretty quickly after the announcement, say what the new class is going to be, or at least give some more details on it.
Okay, that would be good.
Yeah, just
And
right around the
he'll also
corner.
he'll also probably talk about the anniversary.
I would imagine.
Maybe it'll probably be overlooked though.
Well, yeah, most likely.
Zinger from the chat says, neither Quick nor a Beam. Great job naming him Quick Beams, Ent Mom.
I thought that he gained the name when he answered a question to an Ent before the Ent finished the question.
And there's the pine leaf logic again.
Don't use facts, Pine, if it's not fair.
Okay, all right. We'll head on to the release notes for Update 13, and this is the third round of Bull Roarer testing that we have for this, and this is one of the most thorough testings we've had for an update, non-expansion update that I can remember, and they are still tweaking the character models apparently. Anyone see
Yes,
how
they-
they work?
I've caught, as usual, Fredless did go and take screenshots of before and after for this version. I believe he has posted them in a gallery somewhere. I believe you actually posted it in the comments too. So if you find those, he has done a very good job of that. For me, from when I looked at it, it's pretty much. I mean, obviously, most people who play the game aren't going to notice the changes anyway. I think the only people who would have a problem with it to begin with, or if they just really notice those details. The male elves, I'm at least happy with still because they still fixed our very odd posture.
Right.
Yeah.
They do look a little camp,
Mhm.
the male elves. Sorry, but they do.
Zinger now asks Pineleaf, why are you so smart?
You can't help it.
Oh well. I guess
Well.
everyone needs a smart aleck somewhere. All right, we'll now head into the virtue stats have been given a boost to accommodate the current stat levels and current mitigation changes. I don't know if anyone's noticed any differences.
I have. They've pretty much buffed most of the stats, like main stats, like will, vitality, and all that, have almost all been buffed up by a good amount. Obviously, because of the bloat we've had recently. Mitigations are the other major thing because of the changes to how stats affect mitigations so far. They changed those, so mine at least went up a good 5% tactical mits from those virtue changes. So that's pretty good.
All right. And then we have the Entwood is now accessible in the landscape via the Ease of Fanghorn, Broadacres, and Stonedeans.
Yes, and I think this is something they were planning to do this from the beginning, because I just don't see how any world builder, no matter how talented, could manage to pull that off in just like a few days in between builds. I mean, if they did, it's very impressive. But yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff they added to it. The Entwood is now connected via as we said, the Stonedeans, Broadacres via paths, and the Eves of Fangon just being connected to it. You can just walk from one to the other. You wouldn't even notice the boundary. Additionally, they also added, they didn't mention this in the patch notes, but they did add a path through the mountains from the Stonedeans all the way through to the flooded version of Isengard.
And I love that so much. It's a perfect, the best place for a screenshot is on that top of that hill now. It's amazing.
It has a very nice view of the Tower of Orthanc as you come up to it, around the mountain.
Right.
It's very nice.
It's very breathtaking. It's almost, well, I don't want to hype it up that much, but it reminded me of the first time you go towards Helm's Deep a little bit. It was that different, to be honest. So.
Very well. First stage symbols will have a chance of dropping as epic battle platinum completions.
Yeah, this is related to the previous builds where they said they dropped from tier 3 skirmishes and classic raid. I think it was classic raid instances too. So that's just another thing they've added them to.
And more swift travel options have been added to the Troll Shawls and the Misty Mountains.
Thank God.
Especially Rivendell to Thorinhod.
Those teleport horses that Andag and I made a video for have mostly been removed. They've almost all been replaced with this swift travel, and also they added a few more anyway. The one they did keep is the one that takes you, the one that's in the Rivendell stables, and it takes you to just outside Giant Valley. That one I would think would come in handy when you're being sent by Glorfindel back and forth from the Ford of Brunnen back to Rivendell. So that one's handy.
All right. And LOTRO is running a Facebook screenshot weekly contest. Lily.
Hello. I do know a little bit about this. Hooray!
Yeah.
Hey, I know nothing about the news, but screenshots, yeah.
Well, screenshots are the news, so this is just your part of the news.
Hooray! Something for me to comment on. Yeah, LOTRO officially started a weekly screenshot contest over on Facebook. The critique about using Facebook is quite widespread. We've got some people think it's not fair because they don't have a Facebook account and they don't want to open a Facebook account just to join in the competition. Other people have been having issues where their Facebook account is their personal account and they don't really want to mix the personal account with their LOTRO details and vice versa. So we've got a few critiques that I believe are valid. Anyway, putting them aside, the great thing is that they've listened to what people had said about their screenshot competitions from before, which were a lot worse, believe me. And now you can enter. It's easy to enter on Facebook. Excuse me while I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's easy to enter. You can view all the entries. You can also view everybody else's entries, and you can see the winning entries from week to week. Nice reward, 500 turbine points if you're picked as the winner. So at the moment there are over 100 entries because I checked it earlier on today. Some of the some of the screenshots are really, really excellent. All
Yeah.
of the screenshots are good. So it's amazing to see what creative people have been doing with the screenshot competition. Mine's up there if anybody wants to vote for it.
Yeah, I'm looking through them
And
now. It's pretty amazing. Like, some of these are just
so
fantastic.
there are really amazing screenshots. So you can go in there and vote for whichever one you like. I don't really think the voting has got anything to do with which one they pick as a winner. It's just a case for people to support screenshots that they enjoy. So
Okay,
there
on
you
the
have
stream
it.
now, this is my favorite one by far. There's a guy with his arms around a horse, and he's doing like a shout animation, but it looks like he's like cuddling the horse's head, and it's the most amazing
Yeah.
screenshot I think I've ever seen.
You
That's
can do really good.
awesome.
I've used a couple of emotes that makes it look like that you're actually stroking the horse's mane on some of my shots. You can, if you're really into screenshots, then you will explore what different emotes do, and some of them are quite amazing. Especially if you grab the shot just in time.
That's
So
the
I
key.
think it's
That's the
a
tricky
good
bit.
competition. I think it's definitely a definite improvement on the screenshot competitions of the past, and I'm looking forward to seeing who gets picked as the winner. Yeah, you can enter each week, so why not?
All right, thank you. And Dracula, what are the store sales for this week?
It's another week for the sales. Free sample of the week, March 28th through April 3rd, is plus 100% infamy and renown gain. Once again, times 1. Use the coupon code MRPL7, and that is 1 per account. 25% off Virtues, Virtue Bundles, Trade Slots, plus 5 Hope Boost for 90 minutes, and Enhanced XP Supply.
Thank you very much. And it was a little strange that this week they forgot to put the post in the forums. At least the English post in the forums was missing, so you had to come to our site in order to know what they were, unless you wanted to read in French.
Well, just, Turbine supporting LOTRO players and other languages.
And other languages, yes.
Yeah, I mean that's
I think
what's going on here.
I thought it was because Sapiens went on vacation and
Well,
wasn't
see,
cracking the whip.
that money that Draxman sending Sapiens finally paid off. So there you go.
Glad to be a help.
Glad to be of help. Therefore, we will go into the news here at LOTRO Players, and we will begin with an article from Brax, who is not here to support his own article.
Lies.
Oh, he's here.
He
now.
is here? Oh! Brax has arrived.
I
Very
snuck
well. Very
Glad I didn't
well
start mutiny
now,
this
then.
time.
So, what is this article on? Does LOTRO want us to sub?
We touched on a little bit on the last episode about, I think I threw out the idea of, well, we don't really know what all of this new stuff is going to cost to us, to those of us who are not VIP, because we've heard a lot of free for VIP, but we hadn't heard at the time I wrote the article anyway, any prices for any of this other new stuff. And they were talked about having more frequent updates, and they were going to have more content this year. So really the article was just exploring the idea of, well, from a premium player standpoint, without knowing what they're going to charge for this various new content, it almost feels like they're really promoting this VIP thing a lot more, free for VIP. And I was kind of conjecturing, I guess, were they really trying to kind of steer people back in that direction after being premium and free to play kind of centric for the last several years. Some of those concerns have kind of been put to rest now that we know how they're going to charge for the content that's going to be out in Update 13. So I don't know if you talked about it before I got here, but as far as the new mini zones, I guess would be a proper term for them, being part of the Helm's Deep purchase.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet. I think that you can go ahead and lead the discussion on that, Brax.
Okay, cool. Well, that was kind of for me, that was great because that I've already purchased Helm's Deep, so this free for VIP thing is kind of free for me too. So I didn't.
Yeah. When I don't remember their exact statement, and they might have worked around this, but didn't they say that all the content would be free for VIPs in 2014? That's like that kind of thing. Didn't they do a blanket statement kind of like that in a producer's letter
I know
somewhere?
they said
I
something along the lines. I'm not sure if they said all.
Yeah, I don't think this
I
because
somehow I'm not sure they would be that.
Right, but
complete
there
about
was
it,
there
but
was
they
something
definitely said.
there was some
Yeah, they
statement
did
that
say-
led us to believe that that would be the
Yeah.
case, and so I kind of wish that they would give this content free to VIPs as well, and so do both. But I don't know. It's still a really good thing since it is the ending of volume 3, so it makes sense that you have to pay for the part leading up to it, so it makes sense to finish out the volume that way.
Yeah.
That being said, and it's great that they're adding value that they never marketed for back when Helm's Deep was coming out. So it's great that they're adding value and doing things like that. At the same time, I kind of wish that it was free for VIP because of some of the statements that they led the community to believe. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
for
go ahead.
I was just going to say that, practically speaking, I think most VIPs who are at level cap probably did purchase Helm's
Oh,
Deep
yeah.
in some fashion.
yeah, no question.
So in that sense, it doesn't really make that much difference for VIPs, at least those at level cap. That said, yeah, they did say that, or at least kind of it seemed like they were saying that the content for 2014 would be free for VIPs. So yeah, if they could make it for free for VIPs while having it attached to Helm's Deep, maybe that would have been a better idea. But I'm not sure they would have made as much.
yeah,
of a
I'm not sure
profit
they
from
have the I'm not sure they have the tech for that.
it. Maybe they just wouldn't have made much of a profit from it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
All right. Anything else about this article?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised to see that they were going to go with this, especially considering that they have planned to have 3 more updates this year, and I can't imagine they're going to stretch that Helm's Deep thing
Oh, no,
past
because
this
Helm's
update.
Deep,
So
because this is the end of the war between
Volume 3.
Isengard and Rohan, and the
Yeah.
end of Volume 2. So to me, this feels like the place where Helm's Deep is going to end, because this is a continuation of Helm's Deep more than anything else.
This is like the
Conclusion, really.
denouement.
this is like how Lothlorien was included with Mines of Moria kind of thing. It was just after the fact of release a few months later. So I think it fits in kind of similarly to that.
well, and also with Riders of Rohan, the instances came several months later too.
Yep.
It was part of the expansion, but you didn't get it right away.
But they did also advertise that at the time, so
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, this
So,
was a surprise.
To answer the question of do they want us to sub, I'm not sure if they want us to sub over the other options,
Yeah.
Gold Premium. Obviously, they want people to spend money, but I think what they want is to make it more viable than it is now or than it was before, because I think over time it had kind of become less and less as appealing an option. And I think
Yeah.
that's what they were trying to do, is first keep people who are VIPs, and also maybe attract a few more to it. To
Yeah,
give them more of a solid foundation.
I think because it seemed like VIPs were losing a lot of ground with free to play and some of the changes that they made. I think that what they want to do is they actually want to keep people giving them money. And a lot of time people forget that they forget that you get 500 turbine points every single month. And so if you buy that 12-month plan, it is about $8, closer to $9 a month, and you're getting turbine points every single month as well. And so in reality, it's just about the cost of buying a turbine point card every single month for 500 points is how much a subscription is. Plus, you're getting all the other VIP features. So a lot of times people forget about that type of thing if you buy the 12-month.
Yeah, that's a good point. I did the
deal.
math in the article too, because that was the way I did it when I was VIP. And if you actually, I know a lot of people don't do this, but if you count the 500 turbine points kind of as currency, it really comes out to about $3.50 a month if you actually spend that 500 turbine points that you would have spent anyway.
Yeah, and
So it's it's a pretty good deal.
And to buy, 500 turbine points in that amount, it would actually be more expensive than $5. So.
Yeah, so it's not a bad deal. The only thing that it got me after I had been sub for 2 years was I realized how much content that I actually already owned. So it really wasn't feasible for me to keep paying for stuff that I could play without subbing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think in at least the main appeal I could see for VIPs is just the peace of mind. You don't have to worry about what part you have and what part you don't. You just pay for it and you get most of it. I think that's probably the biggest appeal factor for it.
Yeah, there we have, for example, when we're in LOTRO Players Adventures, where every week there's usually one person who hasn't bought the skirmish or dungeon that we're about to do because everybody has a mix and match of what they have.
Do you get the skirmishes for free when you're VIP? I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, that's a really good deal.
Not all of them.
What?
Because I remember I bought which one's the dry got? Which area's the dry got 12-man raid in?
That's not a skirmish.
That's not a skirmish though.
That's an instant.
That's the Rise of Rise.
But that is free for VIP. Oh no, right.
No,
That's
it's not.
part of Isengard. That's part of Isengard.
Yeah, because I pulled up with my kin the other day to do it, and then I realised that I didn't actually have it. So
I'd just like to point out that Pineleaf was just wrong right now.
No, he wasn't.
He corrected himself pretty quickly, so it's hard to notice, but he was wrong right now. I think that's the first time in the history of the show.
But he made you feel bad about it.
Exactly. That's how it works.
Dragoth is classed as expansion content, which is why you didn't have it, I presume.
Yeah, it was originally not supposed to be, then they got changed at one point.
Yep.
I think you just heard the downside of the hybrid model is how confusing it can be to figure out what you've got and what you don't have.
Yep.
Yeah, there is that because what's expansion content and what's VIP content, especially when you're a VIP who's bought all the expansions, it's really hard to know which is which.
Right.
I remember because I only bought the quest pack because I thought, I'm never going to go and do that raid. I never raid.
I know when I dropped my subscription, it turned out I hadn't owned like 3 or 4 of the old Eriador regions. Misty Mountains was one of them. And I had no idea. I'd never bought them before. So I ended up just having to buy those. So yeah, it's interesting to think when you drop, you kind of forget what you never originally bought.
Yeah, most like what you did is you might have bought the Road to Eriador or something like that, which would left
I think
out
I just bought them piecemeal. It's a long
Oh,
time
you bought the
ago,
piecemeal?
but-
Okay.
Because I originally started off as an actual free-to-play, so I did have to grind my way through a few zones.
Okay. Very well, let's head on
Okay,
into...
here is the quote from the producer's letter. More updates more often. If you're a VIP, these regions and content will all be free with your subscription. End quote.
A Cape Pias
which ones
article
did he...
dropping them
Yes,
in
but
them.
which ones did he mention there?
Well, it was Kate
She knew
Pies'
it.
one, so
Yes.
it's under new management now, so that's definitely more than an excuse of why that is.
Yes, but the
Should
question
point
is, what
out
did the
this isn't
previous
the-
paragraph or sentence say? In which do we know what these means?
It was all the regions that were coming with 2014, including the
it-
Fall of Isengard and all that stuff.
Oh, including the fall of
I
Iceland.
should point out that this isn't the first time a Cape Pias letter has dropped them in it, so we shouldn't really be that surprised.
That's right. As
Which
terrible
might
as
be
that
why
is,
the new
that's
pressure
true.
is. All right, let's head on to some music. And Dang,
Yes.
your video highlight for this.
Yes. Chance Thomas. He's awesome. And there's a video that LOTRO made a while back telling of why he's awesome called The Sound of Rohan. And it's just, his score is so amazing. And so what this video does is it gives a little bit behind the scenes of the process. And one thing that really stood out to me the first time I saw this and still stands out to me now is the fact that he has tons and tons of post-it notes about music in Middle-earth throughout the Lord of the Rings books. And it's just amazing how much he knows about Tolkien and moreover music and Tolkien and how much thought that he puts into it. It's just amazing. And so I really, really hope, because he did mention that he has a ton of post-it notes in the Return of the King as well. So I hope that he returns for Gondor, because that would be just amazing. And moreover, Mordor. I would like to hear Chance Thomas's Mordor. That'd be amazing.
So that makes Chance Thomas the king?
If he returns, then it would.
And last week's episode of LOTRO Players Adventures was episode 8, Better Than Fornost, because what we did that week was a lot more successful than our attempts through Fornost.
Way more successful.
Way more successful.
No question. Yeah, we had a lot of fun and got through a skirmish, and we also invaded into the Trollshaws in Giant Valley, so that was a lot of fun.
And then Eldario continued his fan fiction on The Tale of the Red Maid. He had episode 4 out. This is I guess graphic novel might be a good way of...
Yeah, it's like a comic or a graphic novel.
Where we're going through it. So you should start... Now, if you're going to do this, you should start at episode 1. Or actually, it has an introduction. So start out with the introduction, and then go on to the 4 parts. And of course, this does have spoilers for Volume 1, Book 2. So if you haven't done that epic story yet, and you want to do it spoiler-free, I suggest you run through that first before reading this.
Or watching the stream, which shows images of the conclusion.
That's right. Ending has been known to run...
Yeah, in general, just expect spoilers on the stream.
Well...
Honestly, that book, you're not really missing out on much good stuff, so...
I disagree. There's some good point. That instance at the end has better design than a lot of the instances that are around today, just because of the length of it and how involved it is. You won't see an instance that's that long too often today in the epic story.
The dialogue felt very forced and cliched to me.
It could have been, but that instance justified that entire book for me.
You know, if a boss uses the word fool, then it's bad.
But what if you were foolhardy?
Well, they don't use that one as often, but fool, yeah, that's just way overdone.
Okay, so that's what you get. The Welshman said, "Fool's okay, fool's not okay. Foolhardy is." There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Learn your lesson, Turbine.
Learn your lesson. Very well. Let's go into Acacia, who, if you remember, was a recent guest here, and she has posted her latest story about her pieces. In this case was Gilgalad, though it's a piece that many of us also will refer to as Amansul. I always wondered why it was called Amansul when it was all about Gilgalad, but apparently the name changed on several occasions, and she talked about that in this story. As she includes the lyrics in here.
Do you want to sing it?
Were written by... You have got to be kidding.
You pointed it out. I just, was wondering.
So therefore, you can listen to that through the article if you want to hear it actually properly played rather than hearing a poor leaf version, so to speak.
Poor leaf.
Yes. We'll head into community events. Lily Kate.
Hello again. Community events. Yep, quick shout out for the live listeners. I'm afraid if you're listening to this later on, all of these wonderful things have already happened, and I would suggest you have a look for the community events for the 1st of April to see what's coming up for next weekend. So Sunday the 30th, which is tomorrow or today, we've got a concert from No Hold Barred on the Lendermere at 7 a.m. I thought I'd give them a shout out there on Breeze Stage. But tomorrow is the 6th anniversary of the Lonely Mountain Band, so
Yay.
We're having a big shindig, yay!
Far apart, but never alone.
Exactly. If you come along to Breeze Stage at 3, we've got 2 hours of music, followed by a mad as heck raid, which is open to kin and non-kin alike, where everybody dresses up as an unruly mob member. Bring your butter knife or your pitchforks, your frying pans and your rolling pin, and we're going to have a mad dash to Doldine or Goblin Town to hit some trolls. It is an amazing amount of fun. Usually nobody dies. Usually. But yeah, if you fancy a bit of troll bashing with a frying pan, please come along. If for whatever reason that nobody's noticed you, jump up and down, have a few tantrums, and then somebody will see you, no doubt, and you can just follow along, tag along. It'll be fun. Over on Laurel Inn, at just about the same time, 2:30, there's a Born on the Frogmoors. This is a story and music event as well, over by the lovely people there. So loads of stuff going on tomorrow. And of course we have Beatles and Le Beau Chapeau doing their normal weekly concerts. So loads and loads of community events happening at the moment, all over different servers. Please have a look at the events post so that you don't miss out on something you'd really like to attend.
Kate, why does it say that LOTRO Players Adventures is a suicide run?
I don't know.
I don't think that's the best advertisement for our event. I mean, sure, Fornost was bad, but I mean, suicide, I don't know. I mean,
I said because, and sometimes suicide one. Sometimes it's not always a suicide one.
If it was
for me.
That's true. But if it was a suicide run, then we would still be doing Fornost every week.
Oh,
Yes,
God.
I suggested that our theme song would be "Suicide is Painless."
I think it's a perfect description for your event, Anton.
Oh,
All
okay. I'll
And
remember that.
if you want to join the LOTRO Players Adventures on Saturdays, please send a tale to Staff Dang and you'll get an invite and you'll find out where they are in Middle Earth and what they're doing, and hopefully you'll have that instance or skirmish so you can join in.
Or landscape run. We do landscape runs as well.
Yeah.
That's when everybody can join in.
That's when Andang dies.
A lot of times, yeah. That's because I pulled 30,000 Agmerium. And,
Yes, that's because his lore master plays like a champion.
well, I just try to make things interesting.
Once a champ, always a champ.
That is right. That's like how I tend to play all my classes as wardens.
Oh, I
He
play
plays
all
his
my
Defiler
classes
like a
as
champion too.
hunters.
I heal a little bit more on my Defiler than my champion.
A
All
little.
right.
Most of the self.
So, quick ad. Yeah, if you want an event included in the community events post, it's easy. You just send me a tweet or email me or pop something on the comments underneath the last community events post. I'll be more than happy to include your event. There we go. Now I'm going to mute because I need to unblock these tubes.
Well. All right, Brax, what's your pick for this week?
Yeah, not exactly sure where to start with this, but
I wasn't either.
and let me start by saying that it could be perceived that this pick is a bit self-serving, and that's not really the intention here.
Are you sure?
But I've been trying to figure out a way to get Sue Helm's blog in my picks of the week, because Sue, who is a regular listener and commenter on LOTRO Players, has the most interesting LOTRO blog I've ever seen.
That's the nice way to put it, yeah.
And one of the articles he posted this week was called "I do not need to moderate my opinions that I express, do I? ... Why?" in all capitals. And that can be found over at suehelm.wordpress.com. TSUHELM is how you spell that name. And apparently what Sue Helm does is he listens to our podcast every week and takes copious notes as he does so.
Which is awesome, first of all, let me point out. And if you want to take notes like Sue Helm and send them in, feel free to. We will read them on the show, maybe. We'll have Pine Leaf read them. Pine Leaf will read them.
And then he takes his notes, and he, at least on this particular post, he's done a recap of our episode with a little bit of his opinion sprinkled in here and there. And I can imagine this last one was even so. For one thing, Sue Helm, I can just almost feel the neurons firing all over the place because he must have all kinds of thoughts, and he doesn't even get past one thought before he's on to the next one in his blog, and it's just bang, 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 bang,
Yeah.
rapid fire, and it's a lot of fun to read and try to follow. And I was just really impressed that he was able to basically recap one of our episodes with his slant on it, and so I really liked reading his viewpoints on some of the stuff that we talked about in the last episode. And like I said, I imagine this was even probably more difficult because I know he listened to the recorded version of the episode, which was a little bit messed up last week.
Actually, YouTube messed up both versions, thankfully.
Okay, so the version or the podcast itself skipped around. So some of the stuff that we said wasn't always supposed to follow what was immediately following it, and it sounded a little strange.
Yeah, YouTube cut out 10 minutes of content of that episode, which is
What?
Yeah, it's really annoying. But anyway,
So I could imagine that made for even higher levels of confusion for Sue as he was taking his notes and responding to
but
them.
made for a better article.
I would suggest anybody who listened to last week go over to Sue's blog and see what he thought about it, because it's a lot of fun to try. Like I said, try and follow where he's going with his thoughts.
His first note is pretty funny.
Yes, he does get some.
I was going to ask if you had anything, because he seems to be kind of an Ethelros fanboy.
If there was an
Well,
Esteros fan one that wanted to leave a review on iTunes, it would be Sue.
Well, apparently he is part Welsh, so that's likely an influence there.
There's a bias. Yep.
Yeah, there was something that came up. I think it was over Twitter, because I actually retweeted this, because I don't think we've actually mentioned his blog before, like in any kind of place. So I actually thought this one was worth mentioning. And yeah, he actually did comment, which we'll bring up on the show later, but he did say it's not meant to be like negative towards me, because even though it is taking the mick out of me a lot, it's largely deserved still.
Yeah. One thing I thought was really sorry for cutting off, but one thing I thought was really interesting is that he goes into like the psychology of some stuff. It's pretty amazing.
I don't understand any of it, but then I also kind of had trouble understanding a lot of what he was saying, because as you're saying, it's like it just fires off, moves around something else, and it's hard for me to keep up. But yeah, for the most part, it's interesting. Is the best way of it. It's very interesting to read.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, Sue himself is pretty awesome for writing poems for us and all that stuff too.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I was going to mention that he was the author of the famous "Orc on a Fork" poem.
Yes, he was.
So yes, if you remember that one, that was Sue.
Oh, we remember that one.
That'll make it to episode 50, no question. That'll be in that
All
highlights
right.
reel.
Okay, Etheros, what's your question of the week?
The topic of this week's question is more lighthearted than last week's bombshell, and this is about escort quests. Mainly the fact that some people like them, some people hate them. I personally like to hate them. And this is just generally a discussion of, in recent times, they've kind of changed the way they make them. If you they're very infamous. Their old ones are Lalia, Sarah Oakheart, Pengale, the sheep in the Shire, whose name I don't know. Various other ones they've had. Whereas in newer zones, they've kind of gone towards a different way of making them. So really, the first question we have here is just generally, do you think they're a good way of making them? Because the thing I find is that just in the general internet for MMOs, the number one most hated type of quest is the escort quests. People seem to despise them more than any other kind. So I'm just wondering, if they really hated that much, why do developers continually make them over and over and over again?
Well, there's one reason would be because they're, at least in LOTRO, you have a storyline you're going to, and sometimes the storyline demands an escort quest.
Still, I think there could be ways of keep creating mechanics to get around that. Do you think they actually are a good way of making them, personally, Pineleaf? Since you brought it up.
That they're a good way of making them?
Well, do you enjoy
Escort
them
quests.
in general?
Well, escort quests, it depends on when the escort is asking in a completely, absolutely ridiculous fashion. And that means, like, for example, Lalia, who goes around looking for this cloak all over the place, bringing up every single monster in the northern Barrow Downs. I mean, that's, or Pangea going through every single one, trying to find this sword, activating everyone. When mobs act in such ridiculous fashion, that's when I really hate them. They're acting ridiculously just to make it 10 times more annoying. Those are the type of escort quests that I really hate. Because old Sally, I had no trouble with old Sally because
Pineleaf?
I think what?
We all have problems with old Sally.
I love old Sally.
Why? What's
No.
wrong with old Sally?
Old Sally was pretty easy, actually, because
Old
there are only a
Sally.
few shrews you kill, and that's it.
Nonsense.
And plus it's pigs, so you can't really blame it.
It's an escort quest.
It does seem that the popularity for escort quests that people hate the most are Lalia and Sarah Oakhart, and I would have to totally agree with those.
Well,
Yeah.
Sarah Oakhart, you gotta remember, she's completely evil anyway, so therefore.
Yeah.
That Pineleaf's
Oh,
fine
and
as
I called that the
Scott.
first time I saw her.
Oakhart is the worst in my opinion, just
I think
because
the reason Lalia is worse is because
No,
while
Lalia's
Sirocart
worse.
is slow, the fact that she is slow means she doesn't run straight into mobs and you don't have time to react.
you
Whereas Lalia
don't
does that repeatedly.
you don't want Lalia to survive. That's the whole point of the instance, is trying to kill her off as quickly as possible. The fact that she runs ahead into combat is a gift to us. We shouldn't be opposed to it.
So
You seem to have different goals than I do.
Poor quest completions.
I mean, if she died, whom will we give our mithril to?
To whoever tries to sell those horses in the brief place in the market.
Drac, you haven't said anything yet.
No, I do not like them at all. And now I'm gonna start out by saying this: that I am not a computer programmer. I have never programmed anything. I don't know anything about game making or design. I'm just gonna state my opinion here. So I just wanted to put that out there. I think the escort quests are about like what most people call FedEx quest. I think they're cop-outs for developers. If they need more quest in an area, they throw in an escort quest.
I disagree. I think killing like 10 mobs is the thing that they throw in. I think coding an escort quest is a lot harder because you have to set waypoints, make sure they don't catch on anything, that sort of thing. But that being said, I think it's an easy way to try to diversify the content a little bit more. I do actually like some escort quests. I don't like the escort quests where you actually have to walk long distances with the person, but I think like the short ones where it's like, prevent this person from being attacked and then move over to this other location, prevent them from being attacked, and then they give you rewards. I think that's fine, but I think like, 10, 20 minutes with a person, that's a whole different ball game, and I don't like those at all.
Yeah, I will bring that up in a bit, actually. Before we go on to that, though, Brax, if he's still here.
Yeah, I'm still awake.
Still with us.
I guess I'm kind of like Andang. There's some that have coming to mind that I don't really mind at all. Like the Bill the Pony escort really isn't too bad, and there's one of the Hobbit dwarves in the Trollshaws. I don't remember if it was Dory or one of them. You escort through a little instance there, and those
I remember that one.
Those don't feel bad at all, really. But there are also some, like you said, if there's a 20-minute escort quest where you get 17 minutes into it and you fail the quest, that is really annoying. I was going to also bring up there are several mounted escort type quests in Rohan that don't really feel like escort quests, but you're supposed to protect the individual that you're fighting alongside, make sure they don't die. Those are pretty fun, actually. I don't mind those at all. I think those are better than probably some of the original on-foot escort quests that you got.
Yeah, I think
you know the one with the first one you do with the Riders 4 when you go riding out against the Easterlings.
Yeah.
That one I really like. It felt like a decent mounted combat battle. It's
yeah,
easy,
I think
obviously, but it
riding
felt
out with
really-
them is not really an escort quest because you're actually like going into combat. But like the wagon quest or something like that is more of an escort quest because then you're actually escorting a helpless NPC or an NPC that can't really do damage
So
very well.
if the escort's following you, is that easier?
Well, that's something I'm going to ask.
If they don't have a
Oh,
health
sorry.
pool.
Jump ahead.
Since we're on it, actually, I might as well move straight onto it. As Leke was pointing out, in the newer zones, they've kind of changed tack on how they do it. Mostly, there are a couple of exceptions, but mainly they kind of changed the way they have escort quests now. Where instead of before, where they would follow a preset path and they would follow it to the letter, even they would occasionally walk backwards for no reason and start over. God, that's annoying. And it's kind of breaks like the epicness. It's kind of let's charge. Oh wait, let's go back a bit and then charge for no reason. They've kind of gone towards a different method of having them follow you and occasionally give you quests where you work together to just defeat something. Do you think that way of doing it is just objectively superior, a way of designing them, or do you think it's just a different way?
I think when
depending on the situation.
When the escort quest doesn't become too much of a burden, because having to fight NPCs, that's not really a burden. That's what LOTRO is mostly a combat game. That's what it is. But when it becomes a burden because of the AI or how slow they move or their pathing or anything like that, that's when the escort quest gets to be not fun anymore. I think that the mounted combat instances have a big advantage because the enemies have to come from a ways away. So you don't have to wait for the NPC to go back to their waypoint and then move ahead because you're going to have to fight all the enemies in that space because they have to take wide arcs and do things like that. So I think that's an advantage just because of the way that the mounted one's mechanics work.
Well, the new system is not, I think, for all the cases. For example, they had to change the Build a Pony quest due to some bugs that were with it. And I personally think that the old version, before it started bugging out, was a lot better than the current version because the current version, it just doesn't feel like it should be a quest giver following type quest, because you could go there with a friend and now you have 3 Build a Ponies all following you around. It's just like completely silly.
See, and I'm the exact opposite. I like it better that they changed it now.
Yeah.
Drac
Well,
likes multiple bills.
Multiple bills, show title.
The Brax Wolf had spoken.
Airlog in the chat room is bringing up that hype bold horse quest that everybody does once and then just skips it forever.
See, I just skip all the hype bold quests forever.
Oh yes, that one is so
pretty annoying. Yes,
awful because it's so easy to lose track of it, especially since. Well, actually, what you do is you have to go /follow the horse, and whatever you do, don't give a command that will control your movement or it'll make you stop following. Just /follow the thing and kill anything that you have to kill.
Yeah, I was about to say it
because it
Sounds like my kind of quest.
everything.
There's no mental stimulation there, really, at all. That one especially.
You know what would really justify the older escort quests? If we could actually escort the Grim Reaper to Lalia, I think it'd be a perfect thing. It would fix all the escort problems we have, I think.
Oh yeah, I defend him with my life.
No, we escort the Grim Reaper and defend the Grim Reaper so we can kill Lalia.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
That's what needs to happen. I'd defend the Grim Reaper with my life too. In that instance.
I'm not I'm not sure if you talked about it because I kind of disconnected for a minute or two then. But I think the problem I have with the older stuff is just generally how you're kind of forced to play at the pace they want you to. So you can't work to your own, so a pace you're comfortable with.
But
So
see,
say if you've just fought a tough battle against like 4 or 5 mobs for whatever reason, and you're low on morale, it doesn't matter to them because they're not programmed to notice your health and act accordingly. No matter if you're at full health or if you have almost nothing, they will still run headlong right into the next set of mobs. Even if they are almost dead, they will still do it.
yeah, but that's how some people's lives work as well. Like some people have that mindset, and then because your job was to defend that NPC, that I think that adds a lot of realism. I think escort quests bring in a little bit more realism into LOTRO as far as like a real world situation
Well,
kind.
But
what
it
you're
depends
describing
who it
isn't
is.
what you're describing isn't an escort, it's babysitting.
It depends on how it's
I don't wanna
handled, I
babysit
think, yeah.
babies. Thank you.
But I mean, if you're
It just
doing
made me a
like,
bit
let's say you're
stupid.
doing an escort quest with like Boromir or someone, and he seems like the kind of warrior that doesn't really care if he dies or not. He's wanting to kill the orcs that are in the way before they harm his friends. And so I think that type of situation, that would be a perfectly valid way for the NPC to react.
Yeah, but there are so many other. But the majority of them, I think, are ones where it's not necessarily one that makes sense. And actually, the one that really annoys me the most, though, is the one at Thornhope, where you are
Yeah.
going on this thing with them going up there, and then it gives you this big banner saying, you now have a moment of respite. But the NPCs run right up ahead
Yep.
anyway, despite that. You're
Yep.
lying to me.
Well, you had a moment. It wasn't a long moment, but it was a moment.
I just don't like how automated and completely independent of the actual situation they are.
I
That's the main
agree,
thing,
but I
at
think
least
that
with
would
when they
that would require the
These-
NPC to actually like notice you and actually take notice, and that would be a completely different type of AI coding and things like that. So I don't know.
I think they could have done a lot better with the AI in that kind of case. I mean, at least this way, when they follow you, it's obviously you can go at your own pace. You can wait until your health is full and their health is full before moving on. And it feels more like teamwork rather than you struggling desperately to keep them alive.
I agree with that to an extent. I think they should wait till it's like 3/4 health full. But honestly, when you're in battle, I don't think you'd wait till you're at full morale again, unless you knew it was like a really hard fight coming. And I don't know. I like the sense of urgency that they give.
I think you should mix it up. I can't imagine somebody like Gimli waiting back to, you know, fight along my side when he could just charge ahead with his axe.
Well, he would hang back and start throwing them because that's what his AI does. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind like them being more aggressive as long as they have some common sense of not running in when they have 10 morale left.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. They don't need to be suicidal, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. For somebody who plays a hunter all the time, my biggest problem usually is that they'll go up and let themselves die because I have no way to heal them.
Yeah, usually I don't want to say an easy way, but usually you can fix that by not letting them always run first into the combat.
Oh, actually, Jeff Handry from the chat just pointed out probably the biggest example of this problem that we were talking about, Lornio.
Oh
from
yeah.
Condu. Oh, yeah. She does that every time. Doesn't matter your health or hers, how many mobs
Right.
are in the way. She will run
Yep.
right into them.
Yep.
And of course, she stops at the most inopportune times, and then starts running almost without warning afterwards.
And then the ending makes you want to punch her in the face.
Well, you already
Or at
want
least
to
it
anyway.
made me want. Well, yeah, I wanted to do more than that, to be honest. But whatever.
Okay then.
Yeah, so I think it makes a difference what class you play as well.
It does. It definitely
It
does.
does.
I
Um,
think
Fabians,
tanking
I think-
classes are easier to do these.
it is, and that's part of
Yes,
the
true.
problem. I think that I don't know. part of me thinks that MMOs almost need to create different quests for different class types to an extent, so they could balance the difficulty of combat a little bit better. But I don't know.
The Sons of Elrond in the Ford of Brunn skirmish, I'm not sure I would count those as much because they kind of stay still until the mobs come up,
Yeah,
and they
that's-
usually regen pretty quickly.
That's
Yeah,
not
they're
an
just
escort,
stupid.
it's a defense quest.
Yeah,
it's a
yeah, it's a
difference.
They are stupid, definitely. But
They are, yes.
they aren't
That's
as
that's an
frustrating
AI
as some
issue,
of
not
those.
an escort quest issue.
I think that's really my main issue. Is how stupid they are. They just don't pay attention to anything. What is going on? All they see is see mob, kill mob.
Yeah, well, Elrond
Well,
was the bright one,
fortunately, you
and
can-
Ron's not so much.
No, there are ways to reduce the chance that they see mob, at least the ones that they are most notorious for going after.
Yeah. But see, this gives you a reason to beg to Elrond, because you can beg to him to actually let you train his sons so that they don't die all the time. It's an opportunity for begging at Theros.
Well, we did have a community response actually via Twitter when we tweeted this out. Rani says, answer to the first question of are they actually good or do they suck? She just says yes. I'm guessing that's referring to do they suck?
Yep.
Because that's the first question I asked, as bluntly as I could. And the answer to 2 is better they follow us just for frustration's sake, especially when you can summon them back again. And that's also a major thing, is that it's kind of more forgiving in that if they fall, you usually give them like a whistle or something, and you just summon them back, and there you go.
Yeah, but I think I still think that there needs to be the classic kind of escort quest every now and again, because there are... I don't know if you need to have them in the landscape, but have an instance-controlled environment where there aren't the extra. That's one thing that I really don't like about some of the escort quests, is that there's mobs that are actually like there in the landscape that you have to kill on top of the mobs that the instance or the quest sends at you as well when you're escorting.
I think when they're instanced, they're generally much less annoying because their devs actually give them a set amount of mobs to fight, and they usually plan how much they heal, and they usually heal pretty quickly.
Yep.
On landscape, obviously, as you were saying, like you can't really rely on that happening. Any amount of landscape mobs could be there. You could have one patrolling in, maybe an elite trolls walking past just at the wrong time, and you're screwed. So that's definitely a major problem there.
Yeah, and that's one advantage of some of the... I don't remember which one has it, but there's one escort quest that actually has someone that can heal themselves. Or maybe a few of them, and those are actually much better because they'll actually stop and not move on to the next enemy. They'll actually heal themselves. I think if most NPCs were able to heal themselves, it would help out immensely.
I think every kind of like ally NPC since the one in Annuminous has been doing that, because that's the first time I noticed him doing it. He does it a lot, actually. If anyone's done with him recently, he does it like every time you're low, he will heal you or himself.
Yeah, they're actually helpful for a change.
Yeah. Well, I think partly is because a large percentage of the ones that we escort have been Rangers, Dunedain, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
actually,
they're probably more likely to have healing skills.
They know how to use their herbs.
Well, actually, the Rohirrim do it too, because I remember from your Helm's Deep playthrough, you remember the one where you were taking back Woodhurst, and you had died during that final fight. You would have lost, those NPCs would have died if they weren't healing themselves, because those other ones were healing the main guy who is dying. So that is actually a fair improvement in AI.
Theros, I lost my morale. I did not die. There's a difference. Andang never dies. He simply loses his morale.
And teleports.
There's no health in this game. It's morale. Andang doesn't die. And Mist doesn't die either. She's just been...
So, basically what you're saying is you got scared and ran away.
Yes. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay then.
I don't die heroically. I just run away.
Okay.
And that's why I'm champion of Eriador.
There we go.
Run away so you can live to fight another day?
That's right. You gotta fight another
live
day.
To run away another day.
Live to run away another day. This needs to become a statement in popular culture, I'm telling you.
Says it already isn't.
Maybe in Wales.
Unless unless anyone has anything else to add on this question, that's about it.
Yeah, that was actually another really great one. I thought this one would be, a fairly simple one. It would go through pretty quick, but we actually had some really good discussion on it, I think.
Very well, then we'll go on to donations. Yes, we do have a donation. So a big thanks to Jim for his $10 or more donations to LOTRO players. And if
Go
you want
on,
to help,
June. It's Jim, isn't it? It's my band boss.
Okay,
Sorry,
then.
but I knew to throw you off.
very well there. Could you give that name again?
Yes, there's a Jim who's my band boss for Anjune. So it's the only Jim I know that plays, that donates. But there might be more, of course.
There could be
no.
more than one Jim.
There's only one Jim.
There's only one Jim, and he's the one that Locate knows. That's right.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you,
So
Jim,
therefore,
whether
that's-
you're no Locate or not. Thank you very much for donating.
That's all right. So therefore, Dr. McCoy is talking to him whenever he says he's dead, Jim.
And moving on.
To help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can help support the podcast on LOTRO players and also help support the site. We have $5 and $10 mentions where you can donate and get a mention on one or all of our active podcasts for an episode depending on the amount. For $5, you get a mention on the podcast of your choice. For $10 or more, you get a mention on all of our active podcasts. Now for our feedback. Yes, we have a review from Blue Wolf, who left a 5-star review on iTunes. Ethros, could you read this?
You're welcome. I wasn't paying attention. He says, I listen every week, even though I don't always have time to play the game. You're doing a great job finding what content each host can bring to the podcast. Most recently, this was the addition of Etheros' side topics, which turn into main topics, and I agree are getting better each time. That was before he listened to this one. Which I'm reluctant to say due to the pressure it will put on the poor guy. But come to think of it, I like the ally system, so we'll probably never be on great terms anyway. That is true, actually. I despise you completely.
Wow. That is... I gotta be honest, I do as well.
That's the strongest response Ethelros has ever had on this show.
Yeah, well,
I don't
Eeyore
actually.
gets angry when someone calls him out, so...
That's right.
I don't actually. If anything, I just am very grumpy towards the person who designed it. Where am I? Oh, here we go.
I don't know.
one
You're
thing
making
I'd
fun of
like
your
to
hands,
hear-
that's where you are. Making fun of your
Okay.
fans.
Yeah, I'll do that more often. One thing I'd like to hear more of is all of your in-game experiences. So, like what you've been doing in LOTRO, but with an emphasis on new things you saw or learned or appreciated, or maybe tips related to what you're questing on, especially if it's not all late content, but a mix of early, middle, and late level stuff. We actually do a bit of that in Adventures, where we talk about what we did that week. We don't talk so much about tips, though. That's actually a different idea. But yeah, if you listen to Adventures, you can hear what we've done, or at least most of us, what we've done.
Yep, and also 3 of the hosts you can also hear on Academy what they've done. So we figured when we started the news, we figured because we already had at the time it was Fellowship of the Creeps, and then there was the Academy as well, where you'd hear those hosts what they've done already. So we figured there didn't need to be a third show where you get to hear their repeating again of what they've done.
And sometimes
So
the show gets long enough without that.
the last few weeks have proven
I've
that.
been up to. You can just send me a tweet and I'll send you a really long email.
There you go.
When
Lila
you're
Kate
very
will tell
content in
you
it.
what we've all done that week in Lotro by sending her an email, which is lilacatebuggins@gmail.com, right?
Oh no, does that mean I have to watch what you've done?
Theoretically.
I was just talking about myself.
I'm sorry, you
My favourite
brought up
topic.
the opportunity, and I decided to go ahead and bring it a little further.
All right, I'll copy and paste whatever Andang's done, and I'll tell you all about myself. Yeah. Skirmishes with Pine Leaf this week. That's what he's been doing.
And Mist has been dying. Atheros has been Eoring. Count has been counting, and by count I mean Draculetta.
Yeah, Ephros is still searching for his tail. He's forgotten where it fell off.
Brax has been celebrating his son's birthday. Pineleaf, we
Yeah.
already talked about. Lillicate has been being an Italian, and I've been
I
doing
haven't
whatever
been being
anything
an
does.
Italian.
Failing to be an Italian, apparently, from what I hear.
Brax has been rescuing tables.
That's true. He
Oh.
has. He's still on that rescuing tables venture.
What?
That's an escort quest.
That one
Sounds
week
quite
when you
intriguing,
had
actually.
to pick up that table, we've been joking about it ever since. So there you go.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. You guys are still talking about it.
Oh yeah, we are.
Oh yeah.
That was the
You missed our
the
show to
escort
pick up a
quest of
table. We'll
lifetime.
never forget it, Brax.
I did. I picked it up and I put it back down. It was heavy.
Anyway, in the next couple of weeks, there's going to be more news on what I've been doing the past month or two. So if anybody likes to listen to orchestras and classical music, my concert's coming up in April. Isn't it, Pine Leaf?
Oh yes, it most definitely is coming up in April. It is April 12th.
April 12th.
Zinger from the chat asks, or he doesn't ask, but I'm making it be a question. Are you going to do a newsletter now, Lillicate, called LOTRO Players Newsletter Inc.? Lillicate's LOTRO Players Newsletter Inc.
I don't know if people want one.
It seems Zinger does, so that's at least one.
I just want especially for Zynga. It might not have any relevance to reality.
So just for the record, Lillicate is
It
going
might
to...
just be my brain vomit.
Just for the
So-
record, Lillicate has agreed to respond with everything that we've all done each week if you email her, lillicatebuggins@gmail.com. And also, she's
right.
going to do a personal newsletter to Zinger, though we don't know the
Yeah.
regularity of that newsletter. It could be
I'll do
a
monthly.
century monthly. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, but it's got to be a month with an F in it.
With an F in it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't do TH months.
Okay, that kind of limits it a
Especially
little
not
bit.
full of flu.
Let's see. I know.
So there's
I'm trying to think,
February.
are there any other than February?
I meant the word month, not actual months.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the cold's getting worse.
It seems it
My South London accent
is.
is getting stronger.
I think the cold is going into your brain a little bit. Okay. It's taking
Very
over.
well.
Just
I think it's time to move on.
We're in feedback, finally.
Yes, actually, we're at featured comments now, and Fredo
Which
Lass
is part of feedback.
has
Anyway.
left us a comment on episode 39. So, Drac, could you please read this?
Being an active part of a community outside the game can be a daunting proposition, but there are a lot of ways to participate. You can be a creator, contributor, collator, consumer, conspirator,
Don't be a conspirator.
curator, competitor, and or a combination of those components.
That alliteration, Fredless. That alliteration.
He's only good at counting.
I enjoy hanging out around the fringes and just mingling here and there. I did put together a guide on the forums that has been viewed something like 1.2 million times,
Wow.
which that's just
That's
amazing. But it has never made me feel authoritative. Lots of people contributed. Or like I have any power over the decisions other players make. At most, it has given me some notoriety. There is equal parts gratifying, terrifying, and humbling. I've written thousands of pages professionally in my lifetime, but this is the only time I can type a single word into Google and have something I wrote come up as the first result. Thank goodness Turbine chose to make up a brand new world named Height Bulb. Still, I find it more rewarding to hang out in the Shire or Bree when I'm not busy and answer questions in the /advice channel. From looking at login service statistics, I'd estimate that more than 75% of the new players quit the game in their first month. Unless we can help build a community within the game, there's little hope of it growing outside of the game. That's why I think LOTRO Players Adventures is such a brilliant bit of outreach. Not only do you expose potential players out here on the internet, but you also draw people in. They run across you in game. Keep up the great work.
Thank you very much, Fredulous. That was an awesome comment.
Very
I think
well.
actually short by his standards.
Yeah.
So thanks. You saved Drac a great deal of agony.
Very well.
Indeed.
Now, Sue left us a comment on episode 39. And Brax, could you read this?
Yeah.
Brax is going to be reading the
It's
next
Sue.
one, so let's actually have somebody else read this one, I think.
And dang then.
Oh, well. I didn't expect that to come.
Wow, see how that worked out for you.
The review, (question mark, blog, got kinda weird, and Atheros took center stage in it. It is my part. It is a pat on the back. I don't know how I got it is my part. Anyway, it is a pat on the back to a fellow Welshman doing great things in the LOTRO community, and in no way should it be read negatively. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Overall, I think the show is excellent and really opens up the discussion about the community and why we do it. Oh, and there's a poem. Note,
Yay!
I updated as Atheros was missing. Alright, finally, there's a poem.
Okay. Ambivalently, ramble on, good buddy. Finally, a community. Pine leaves to posh. Ethros, Emori.
Eeyore.
Eeyore.
It says Eeyore.
That's
Never
amore.
Ending in Braxor, Draculetta wants no gore. Acacia discusses RP lore. On LP, there is no bore. Community comes to the fore. Ambivalent, not me, rambling on and on. Forums full of bipolar bears, Care Bears and Grizzly Bears. Somewhere feeling bare, others complain if they dare. Some post pics of mares, but to be fair, blogs and websites a rare pair, rambling me like a mad hare. Community, yes, yes. Ambivalence, please ease.
Yay! Thank you very much, Sue, for entertainment most weeks when you send in a comment or a poem. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Very well, and now we have an email from Estelle Ali, and this is to be read by Brax.
By request.
Yeah. Excuse me. Actually, I think the poem was what he wanted me to read, but I can read the whole thing.
Yeah, read the whole thing.
Hail, friends, and oh wait.
Be
No, I won't
careful.
steal Anding's greetings. Hello, LOTRO players. Past couple of weeks have been absolutely amazing. Joining you guys for LOTRO player adventures 2 weeks in a row was awesome. Thank God for daylight savings. Yes, we didn't kill the Forno Shadow Boss, but who cares? It was about going beyond boss fights. Wink, Braxwolf. Hey, I didn't see that before. Thanks, Ali. Since I love raiding very much while still being casual, a couple of weeks ago I created my own kinship on Brandywine called Casual Raiders. Leading people in raid almost daily has been a great experience. Also, I'm happy to announce that the poem I had been working on for a while is finally complete. Look forward to joining you guys for LOTRO Players Adventures. As always, excellent podcast and YouTube shows. Keep up the good work, Ali. And he would love it if I read this poem. And I hope it's not a commentary on what he thinks of me.
Especially the first line.
Forever alone, alone on my own, in a dark cave, bound by my precious, a worshipper, a slave, a shadow, a white, a wraith to be, remembering the past, my life is a memory. Thinking of times gone when I was free, in the depths of a town with no tree. Living in misery, I forgot my name, awaiting a savior who never came. No friends here, no reason to live, lost in my ways, nothing to give. But then one day, Bagginses came, stole my precious, played a game, lied to us, we hates it, ran from us, we hates it. Now my precious is forever gone, alone I am, alone on my own. That was awesome.
That was good.
Yay!
That guy needs to join the LMB for some company.
Indeed. And finally, if there are requests to have your poem readings in like a collection or something, I think you should sell them on iTunes. You know, get some money on the side. It'd be great.
Oh.
Like Audible should just hire you permanently as like the reader of all content on Audible. It needs to happen.
You can contact us at lotroflayers.livelittleearth@gmail.com, and you can follow us on Twitter. You can have Lotro Players at Lotro Players, Andang at PVMP_Andang, Braxwolf at Braxwolf, Draculetta at Draculetta_72, Ethelrose at Ethelrose, Lily Kate at Lily Kate Buggins, Mystery at Mystery XOX, that is with an IXOX at the end, and Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles. You can join us live each week, first at Lotro Players Adventures, which goes live each Saturday at 5 p.m. server time, and Lotro Players News, which goes live every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. server time, and that is United States Eastern Time. And you can join us by going to lotroplayers.com/live. And be sure to join us in the YouTube chat. And thank you for watching and listening.
We got our 40th episode done. Just 10 to go.
Woo!
Yeah,
Yes,
1
that's-
year. That's amazing.
That's
I can
yes.
retire.
Wait a second. That wasn't in your contract.
That's all for tonight. Until next time, this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.
Heal Pine Leaf.